Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves, number 359. We're really getting there. Oh, my goodness. And because one of you, as I mentioned before, was kind enough to make a list of all the things I hadn't talked about, we're sort of doing symphony cleanup. I'm going to do a bunch of symphonies that I wanted to talk about but didn't. And this one is Bruckner's Ninth. Now, let's face it, you and I, we're friends, aren't we? And we've spent a lot of time talking about Bruckner's Ninth, about all the different versions as a repertoire talk, about why attempts to complete it are stupid and horrible, and how terrible the finale is, and all that stuff. So I have no interest in any of the completed versions. I have heard the sketches. I have heard several attempts at completion. I'm glad that I did. It was interesting, and I never want to return to them at all. I think the work is absolutely perfect in its completed three-movement form. I really do. It's gorgeous, just the way Bruckner left it. It has perfect proportions and a wonderful emotional range and sequence of feelings and expression. It needs nothing, particularly not the absolutely dismal ideas that Bruckner had come up with for his finale. So let's just set that aside for now and talk about the recording, which is my favorite. It is Stanislaw Skrowaczewski, but not the one you think it is, not the Saarbrücken one on Ohms, but rather his earlier recording with the Minnesota Orchestra on Reference Recordings. Now, there are many reasons I chose this one. First of all, Skrowaczewski is a genius Bruckner conductor. His cycle, the one on Ohms, is on balance the finest Bruckner cycle available. It really is. It has no weak spots anywhere. It's just wonderful. So that's one thing. And I saw him do quite a bit of Bruckner. I've seen him do, I've seen him do 7, 8, and 9. And he was just wonderful. He was such a wonderful Bruckner conductor. He understood the nobility of the music, its grandiosity, its structure, but he wasn't mechanical, and he wasn't so as Karajan could be sometimes. He just close his eyes and beat time and do nothing. And I mean, he didn't do nothing. Obviously, he had very strong ideas about what it should sound like, but it seemed to somehow become rather rote-like. But Skrowaczewski had that monumentality, that Karajan-like monumentality that he always had, but also some lyricism, expressive flexibility, welcome, subtle variation in pulse. It's always just wonderful. So he does an absolutely amazing Bruckner 9. And for years, he was, of course, conductor of the Minnesota Orchestra. He made a fantastic series of recordings with them on Vox Records. He did the complete Beethoven overtures and incidental music. He did some great Bartók. He did some great Stravinsky. He did some great Ravel. He's one of those unsung fabulous conductors. And Bruckner was a specialty. I did see him do the Eighth in Baltimore when I was in college, and he used a tam-tam. Ooh! For the second cymbal crash in the Adagio. It was, crash, da, 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 ba, 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 bum, ya, da, 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 da. And instead of the triangle, which you usually don't really hear anyway, he had a tam-tam, and they had a ginormous tam-tam. It didn't really make much sound, to be honest with you. It looked better than you heard it, but he did it, and I was so proud of him. It was wonderful. But in any case, he doesn't do that on his recording, unfortunately. You don't hear an extra tam-tam whack. He plays it as written. But his Ninth, oh, what a beautiful performance. It has all of the stature and nobility that you could possibly want. The Minnesota Orchestra always played extraordinarily well for him. But more to the point, you've got reference recording sonics. Phenomenally gorgeous, big, powerful, rich, yummy sonics. And that makes such a difference because, Bruckner is not known as sort of like an orchestral blockbuster composer, but he was. He was in his handling of the brass section, particularly. And wow, it's just a glorious sounding recording of the Ninth. If you want one that just, will blow you against the back wall and really lets you just wallow in the grandiosity of it and the lyrical intensity of the slow movement, the cosmic noise episodes, da, 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 the horns going, what, da, wah. Oh, God, it's amazing. Just an amazing performance. And that is my fave, at least today. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.